There's no better time like the present. Now it's the time. This is Downright Annoyed with comics.
No, this is Comic Man Andy Presents.
No, this is Downright Annoyed with comics. It's the same show name. It just bounces from channel to channel.
Yeah, but we got to work you into the name.
You're presenting it. Comic Man Andy Presents Downright Annoyed with comics.
Present them. Okay, I will present the beard for a moment. Let everybody get that. There we go. All right. We read Gideon Falls. That was my pick for last week. I'm pretty stoked to hear you guys dissect this because, right off the bat, there's two things that I don't care for in my funny books, my comic books. Funny books, as Legend likes to call them, and that's religion and politics. So when I was first put onto this book and somebody's like, this, and this, and I'm like, no, I don't want that in my comic books. I don't want that in something where I'm trying to escape real life a lot of times and trying to escape whatever's going on. But this is, in my opinion, so well written by Jeff Lemire, and the art is done so well by is this Sarantino is the pronunciation?
Your word for it.
This book gives me anxiety. Reading this book gives me anxiety, like literally.
It's really good.
It was really, really good. I was very surprised about it, man. Because I didn't know what to expect going in. I came in with zero premise. No one told me anything about what it was about. So it kind of like just starting to open the book, and I'm like, okay, this is like a horror kind of thing. Definitely starting to dig it. Okay, yeah, it just progressed into me loving it so much more as I kept turning the page.
It's a sleeper.
Is it a sleeper? Because I feel like a lot of people have read it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you don't know what you're getting into until you start reading, and you're like, oh wow. I mean, yeah, people can give you the idea, a couple of different ideas what it's about, and your mind could take you in 30 different directions, but until you sit down and read it.
I loved this. This is probably going to be like my favorite comic I've ever read.
Oh
boy. Well, it's because we haven't finished Saga yet.
Well, I've never read I can't think of and I'm a horror movie guy. That's like my favorite genre of movie, but I can't think of a horror comic book that I've read. And this screams like Silent Hill, creepy town. You know, there's some sort of an old history that you get to kind of unravel as it goes. I'm assuming more than you have so far. Yeah. So yeah, this is right up my alley. In fact, I felt like you read my mind a little bit when I started reading it, that this was what you chose, because it's fucking awesome.
I was a little torn, and I was like, no, we got to read this. Eventually we're going to read this on Comic Corps' Modern Men. Jeff Lemire, this is some of his best writing, in my opinion. And these characters have actually been with him for 2 decades. He talks about that in the back of book 1, I think, or in the first comic book. He talks about his trip growing up and moving to, I think it was Ontario, and working and trying to actually create this comic book with his wife. In the early silkscreen printings, they were drying in their own yard, and he went from comic book shop to comic book shop selling these things. So somewhere out there's 300 or so first kind of ashtray number ones, I think is what he refers to him, for
really?
This character and kind of this story. But it was so long ago, obviously things changed a little bit, but that's something I want to hunt down and look for. It kind of pulled me in right away with Norton. And at face value, you think Norton's just this crazy guy. You don't quite understand him, but there's quirks. He's wearing a mask right from the get-go, an N95 mask. Well, he's got to be crazy, right? He's digging through garbage. Oh, he's definitely crazy.
Doesn't seem so crazy anymore.
Well, digging through garbage is still crazy, I think, but
I mean, he does come off right away as like, okay, there's got to be more to this guy. You know what I mean? Because he's obviously he's in that position of the protagonist character who nobody believes him. You know, he's a very archetypical character. He's got the therapist that he sees. You know, I don't know, are spoilers allowed on this? Do we give spoiler warnings, or
I mean,
how do you want to talk about this?
The first 6 issues that started coming out in like what 2018. It's been out quite a while. I mean, spoilers, they're gonna drop some. Hey,
Yeah.
You know what though? I mean, just reading this first volume, I feel like if we even talk about it, there's really not too much to spoil, if that makes sense.
Well,
there's a lot of content, but
I'm just gonna drop it now. I
go
guess.
for it. All right, let's just do it.
The therapist starts seeing the you know, because I thought that was going to drag out for a while, that kind of you know, problem that he has where the therapist is going to call him up, he's going to go to the nut house or whatever. They kind of dispatch with that fairly quickly, where oh, okay, well, now she doesn't think he's crazy, she's in on this with him. And then there's also like some mystery going on. Like I don't know if I just missed it or my comprehension isn't very good, but there's 2 stories happening. There's the priest and then there's Norton, right?
Essentially, they're just trying to figure out the same thing.
Right, but it almost seems as if they're like in different time periods, but I'm not sure that exactly works. But that's how I was reading it, is that this barn where the priest is I'm going to go out on a limb and say the unexpected, and I could be completely wrong here. They might not even be at separate times. I don't know if that's been established, but I'm going to say that's like the distant future. I'm going to say that
priest.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to flip it, because it seems to me that in the priest's time, like there's no remnants of this thing whatsoever. Like the black barn does not really exist there either in either time period. And I'm assuming that the spot that they find in Norton's time period is where it was. That's a guess again.
Okay.
Because there's pieces of it throughout that he's, you know, finding essentially to rebuild the thing. I don't know what his goal is with that, but I'm super excited to see where it goes. And I'm probably completely batshit crazy wrong with my assumptions on.
I don't know, man, because the way when you said that, I mean, everything starts to make sense, because we see the priest, you know, when he first goes to the church and he's in front of like everything, it looks like a completely different setting than this when the psychologist sees the barn, right?
Yeah. Well, should we? I mean, let's talk the premise of the book, right? So you've got two separate characters, main characters, basically. You have your priest, and I can't remember his name, but he's been dispatched by the bishop to this small town where the other priest has died. And he's kind of replacing him in that town, and it's kind of like a small town, rural America, farmer type, you know, area. You know, looks like a place up in Wisconsin where I'm from. But then at the other end of the spectrum, you have Norton, who lives in the big city, right? And he is essentially for years, he's been having visions of this barn. And he essentially goes out searching for pieces of it. Do they explain why he had to go see a therapist? I can't remember.
No, they not exactly, but basically Norton doesn't remember anything up until a certain point in his childhood where he was just there. He existed. Somebody found him in it was a garbage dump yard, I think. And they brought him to you know, a children's home, a home for children, for
like a foster home.
Yeah, like a foster home. So he grew up in foster homes, like thinking he's crazy, doesn't know where he was, don't know where he came from, doesn't have a family, doesn't have any parents, nothing. So he was raised in government assisted care. So obviously he's developed some kind of psychosis as he's growing up from a child, and I'm thinking he's probably late 20s, early 30s at this point. So you can imagine he spent 20 plus years in some sort of government or state run facility for wayward kids kind of deal.
Yeah, and he just discovered, like, he now has the mission of rebuilding this barn. Now, we also in this set of books have not really been given much information on the barn. So there's a lot to unpack as this series goes, I would imagine. So I'm super excited to read on as far as this one's concerned. I also real quickly want to bring up how unique and awesome all the art is in it. Even the way that the panels are like from one page, you have kind of the standard comic book boxes type page. And then all of a sudden you'll have one where it's like, it's all kind of splattered on the page with like little lines separating it all. So it really goes all over the place. And some of it, there were a couple pages where I had to really sit there and like kind of try and comprehend what the message is of the page, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Can I share my favorite page right here?
Sure.
When he comes in and he just sees like, hey, what does he say? He says, "Hello, Father, I've been waiting for you," right here. The couple that invited him to their home, right? That's my favorite page right there.
Yeah, I had that one pulled up as well.
Okay, good. Yeah.
It's just awesome. And I love the little like how they direct your eyes to a specific spot on some of these pages too with the red circles. I thought was interesting. But yeah, I'm really excited to kind of uncover the history of Gideon Falls, because to me it screams Silent Hill. That's what I was thinking the entire time I was reading this. And you've obviously, I love the whole I forget what they call them, the religious group from the past, that the dad the plowman. Like this kind of stuff is just, and I don't know if anybody can even make that out, but yeah, this is going to be fun. I'm really pumped.
That's great. I love this
guy.
So
just in the first book alone, some pivotal things happened that I didn't catch the first time that I read it, or even the second. It took me the third or fourth time. The bus driver that Father Fred sees as he's driving by, the bus driver that's having a smoke.
Yeah.
This is probably not going to turn out. Look at the smile on the bus driver's face.
He kind of smirks at him creepily, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same smile as that evil smile that you see throughout the story. It's the same kind of curved up.
Okay.
That's your cue that he's possessed
into the barn,
if you will.
Right.
He's potentially evil.
Well, we see this face a lot, right?
That's it right there. That's the smile that I'm talking about.
Yeah, it gives off that dairy vibe from the It book too, where it's like, who knows who's in on this? Like it's almost like this creepy thing that people are trying to keep under wraps, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. Now that scene where the guy kills or murders the one dude or breaks into the girl's house or whatever it was, the one you showed, Michael?
Yes.
What was the deal with that again?
So hold on.
What was happening there? Because that was kind of a key thing too, because he basically kidnapped somebody. He ran to the barn.
So do you remember what you call it? The priest got arrested initially for the murder of Father Tom, right? Yep. By Clara. And then, exactly. And then Clara eventually finds out, like, hey, there was actually another murder at the same time, so it couldn't have been Father Fred, right? And while the Father Fred is doing his own investigation, he goes to visit Clara, says that he visited some old hermit guy that says all these crazy delusions of grandeur.
Doc Sutton?
Yeah, Doc Sutton, who ends up, funny enough, ends up being Clara's father, right? And he's talking with Clara about some stuff, and then all of a sudden some call comes out, or gunshots are being heard. So she rushes off, and the father goes with her, and it turns out to be the place where they're going is the house of the couple that initially invited the new father to their home for dinner.
The bus driver. Right? Pause right there really quick.
Yeah.
You backpedal a little bit. Do you remember when Norton's apartment was broken into and raided and stuff was stolen out of it?
Yes. And then he makes all these booby traps.
Uh-huh. So if look in the bus driver's hand when they go back to that realm, and he has Norton's scalpel in his hands, and that's what he slits his wife's throat with.
Yes, that was
Okay.
awesome.
Yes.
So that's your cue from the beginning, that smile on the bus driver's face, that he's quote unquote kind of possessed. And you don't really catch on to that at the very beginning. But then when Norton's apartment's raided and his shit stolen, it's by that guy. And he goes back.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because Father Tom, they end up finding Father Tom dead in the river after he kills the lady with her hook hand, which was creepy enough as it was.
Yeah.
He ripped her hook hand off of her and stabbed her in the chest with it. And then when they find Father Tom, they find the nail in Father Tom's hand that Norton had found earlier that day or that week or whatever that time period was that he put in the jar and labeled. That was the nail that he put up on that shelf. And then the bus driver guy came through that, without giving out any more spoilers, came through and stole all that shit and went back and then slit his wife's throat. And then back to where you were getting at, Mike.
After going, but still real quick, just going over this recap, I think that just leaves credence to Jackson's theory that this may be a different time period.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm always
find
really
out.
intelligent. I can't help it. Just wait until what's her name? Sophie kills the Will in Saga. You're gonna really be blown away by that when that happens.
I can't wait to read those books with you guys. So I mean,
that
paints an incredible opening for book one, and then Father Fred is running through the field. And then you get the panel for panel shot, Father Fred, then you see Norton upside down, then Father Fred, then Norton upside down. So it's letting you build that parallel universe or different time frames in your head as you're reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Father Norton running Ed upside down again. And eventually you're led to this, which is our backdrop for the show tonight, which is probably the most goosebump inducing page out of any number one book I've ever read.
Yeah, it's the whole thing, the art direction, it's creepy. I really like this. So thank you for this one.
I didn't like the art at first.
Oh, you're crazy. I love how messy it is.
But that messiness, that grittiness, that delivers, that hammers the story home. This art is incredibly important in this.
Well, yeah, it's like you don't know specific, like you don't know the details of the people's faces. Like the father, I still can't tell you what he looks like, even though he's been on like a bunch of pages. It's like it's just this withered, like messy face. Like all you know is like his flesh tone. He's
a tired old alcoholic that's had run-ins with the laws, and the bishop has pulled him out from what his original mission was and has redeployed him to Gideon Falls for this. And the conversations that they have over the phone lead you to believe that the bishop knows exactly what's going on too.
Oh, he's
also,
dirty, for sure.
There's also a subplot kind of going on with Clara's, I believe is her little brother.
Her little brother's missing, mind you.
Missing, right? And then correct me if I'm wrong, but once they go.
Oh, God damn it. Never mind. Go ahead. I figured something out.
You figured I honestly think that the little brother is the dude with the mask.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking,
Son
right?
of a bitch. I didn't even think of that until just now, and I interrupted you, Michael. I'm sorry.
It's perfect though,
because he disappeared in the middle of the field, and his footsteps ended right where the barn was supposed to be, and then all of a sudden, the therapist was all like, "Hey, we found you in the middle of wherever, where this old barn used to be, right where he used to." Hang out. And that's the reason why he has to rebuild the barn so that he can try to get back to his sister, I would assume.
Yeah, well, don't say anything, Andy. Stop it.
Yeah.
Well, let's just look at it from this aspect. You're talking about pure evil and how pure evil can control people. The goals of that pure evil are first and foremost. The goals of the characters are very secondary, very third, very, very, they're subplots as far as the evil is concerned. Those characters are his tools. So
speaking of pure evil, can we talk about the Father Fred's experience in the barn?
Yeah, it's so
Did
crazy.
you guys want to go over anything in 2, 3, or 4? Because I think that what you're referencing, Mike, is in 5 and 6.
Probably, yeah. Let's go in
Well,
order because I just jump around.
The problem I have with this is I read it like all in one sitting, so
Same
to me
here.
it's all just one. Like I don't even know if I can delineate what happened in which book.
Summing up issue 2 is where Father Tom is found in the river, dead after another body was found, and Norton, goes back to his apartment, passes a mysterious figure, and then realizes that his apartment was broken into, all of his stuff was stolen. So that's Father Fred then gets arrested and picked up for that murder, and they realize that they find Father Tom in the riverbed dead, and only had been dead for a day, even though they anticipated him dead like weeks ago. That's when Father Fred had the nail in his hand, and you're led to Dr. I'm terrible with Chinese or Japanese names. Dr. Yu, Dr. Who, Dr. It's like XU.
XU, yeah.
Shu.
That's how I would say. That's what I was saying in my head.
Dr. Chu. Her first ever real life, well, not real life, but her first vision of the Red Barn as she's awake. So she's walking down the street and sees it after Norton tells her about it, and then now that book ends with "Oh God," and her hand is clasping her heart, like she has realized what's happening.
God, this almost kind of reminds me of Dark, only instead of a cave, there's just like some random barn that just pops up.
It's very dark in its feel. Like it's dirty, grimy, you know, small town. There's a spot in the town that's kind of So maybe that's why I was thinking time periods. Yeah, I love it, dude.
Unruly Simeon. I don't know about 6 bodies, but there's definitely bodies by the second issue. And if you haven't read this, we're highly recommending it at this point.
Yeah, I would highly, highly recommend this. This is great. I'm really pumped. How much of this is there, Andy, out of curiosity so far? Is it over?
No. This is an ongoing series that's on hold now because of our current worldly situation, if you will. And I think the next issue was slated to come out in May. But
so you brought us into another story that has a hiatus?
Hey, this wasn't telling us. This hiatus wasn't by any of our choices.
I'm just great.
I think there's 3 trade paperbacks out right now.
Yes, sir. I got all 3 of them right here.
Yep. And I think number 4 was to be out this spring, and number 5 would be out closer to the fall this year. But I mean, issue 3, you guys notice all the covers are depictions of each character, but looking down at a map, kind of like a city map.
It's awesome. I love that.
Very dark, very gritty. That opens up with the father battling his alcoholism again, Father Fred. Mike, did you have any highlights or notes from this episode? Because this one was kind of, it wasn't filler-esque, but they definitely kind of like added some bits and pieces.
You said for issue 4 or 5?
Yeah, 4.
4. Well, yeah, just the very last page of issue 4. Again, I just go back to this where he just says, "Hey, Father, I've been waiting for you." You know.
Yeah, I skipped issue 3 because that's where they kind of start to talk about the plowmen and the history and
you skipped even that. I like that.
Kind of fun, huh?
Go back to it because I accidentally skipped it in my brain and that was terrible of me to do.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like that crazy old kook, right? I mean, like literally, it says right here in the newspaper, local cult leader arrested, right?
Yeah.
And he's essentially like the black. I mean, even the cover to that was him in the map, right? Which was probably my favorite cover so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, he goes here because how does he come about to go there? Oh, the deputy is a part of this cult, right? In the jail, he tells him like, "Hey, don't tell anybody I told you this, but go see Doc or whatever," right?
Yep.
And then he kind of goes into this whole history, but then he asks him, like, "Hey, have you ever seen this barn?" He goes, "Well, no." But it's like, okay, well, you're just a crazy person.
Well, he retorts with the, hey, that's faith. Have you ever seen God kind of argument? You know what I mean? Or have you ever
Yeah.
met God? Or, you have faith in your religion. How about my faith in my beliefs kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I like that though. Yeah, I like how that's going to be a main thing in the book. Now, you were saying that when it was suggested to you, you were a little torn, like, or kind of pushed off by that.
A little pushed off because it's a comic book, right?
Sure.
We read comic books to escape our reality to some extent, one way or another. And all too often, politics and religion are very forefront in our realities every day with advertisements and people selling this and knocking on our doors and vote for me or do this and do that. So politics and religion are very hot button topics for a lot of people. And more often than not, people just want to have their opinions and beliefs, but don't want to be constantly reminded of them when they're looking to escape that.
See, now that's true. Now, what I would say though, mind if I play the devil's advocate against
absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So I would say that something like Saga is doing the same thing. Only it's not you're getting a metaphorical view of it instead of it being a priest with a booze problem, right?
God damn it, now I gotta go read Saga again.
Well, because Saga, like every single section of Saga is basically linking it to something that's a real issue in the world, right?
Right. Yeah. And I agree with that. And there were a couple of things like, they talked about drug abuse. They talked about marital strife, some other things that were kind of like, they're making it very real for a lot of the readers. So some of it was, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, let's, just welcome the priest with the drinking problem into your life, Andy. I mean, he's just like any one of us,
Right.
But yeah, I'm so glad that you did read this because you're the reason why I got to start reading it. So I'm glad that you, against your better judgment, that you said, yeah, fine, I'll read this one.
Well, you know what hammered it home from a lot of people is Jeff Lemire. They're like, give him a chance. And this is the first Jeff Lemire thing I have ever read. And it's like Mark Millar. It's Brian K. Vaughan for me. I read anything from some of, once I understand that name and understand their history and how they write, if I'm a fan and their name is on it, I'm buying it. End of story.
Smart.
What else has he written?
Oh, Black Hammer.
Okay.
Black Hammer and this are the first thing that come to my mind. I don't have any of the tabs pulled up or anything, but Lemire's a very well-known writer with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've got some stuff in here. It looks like he's written quite a bit since like in the 2000s.
Oh yeah. Sweet Tooth is usually on lists of best trade paperbacks to read. That's one of the ones that he's done. Descender is well known. What else comes to people's minds?
Gideon Falls.
Yeah, Gideon Falls for sure.
Which, by the way, guys, I actually, in looking this up, this is one where it does look like we are going to get a TV adaptation of this book.
Oh, really? Cool.
And it's going to be produced by James Wan, who, directed Saw and like The Conjuring. We'll pretend we never saw Aquaman. But yeah, I can't, like I said, I can't wait to read more of this. And if they want to put a TV series out in that dark style, I think it could be great.
This is ripe for straight to Netflix or an HBO, something that'll allow the dark, gritty, R-rated.
For sure.
Like Dark comes to mind on Netflix, like you guys were talking about in your last show. That was phenomenal. I shared that with so many people, and my only complaint is sometimes I just don't like having to read subtitles, but that one I fell in love with.
Yeah, thank God you have to read the subtitles, because like if you look at your phone for 1 second during that show and you look back up, you're just lost.
Yep. Thank God
Yeah.
for thank God for the Netflix like kickback 15 or 20 seconds button.
Right, yes. But Michael, it looks like you're studying over there.
Yeah, I'm doing a little studying right here. So if you look on this, I don't recall which volume or which issue this is, but the priest is looking down at a file of Clara, right?
Yep.
And you see that little boy right there. And then fast forward to right here where the doctor is looking at files for the dude. If you look at right there, the little boy.
Yep.
It looks like him.
Similarly drawn.
Yep. Those little nuances in the art are incredibly
I knew
important.
I saw something like that earlier, and it just did.
Yep. And
right there.
Father Fred found Father Tom.
I think we're onto something.
Yeah, he found Father Tom's files hidden in the floorboard of the rectory there. I think that was issue 3, but
I can't wait. I can't wait to find out what the hell's going on with this place.
Well,
yes.
So I get to decide what we're reading next, correct?
I don't know at this point. I think Jackson's going to trump you no matter what.
Nope. You get to decide. You're the decider.
Good. Because we're going volume 2 for sure. We're here. We're coming back here next week, Andy.
Okay.
Yep. Your channel again. Yep.
Yeah.
Volume 2 next week.
Next Saturday.
And volume or issue 4 ended with everybody's favorite clip so far.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So that's the bus driver. That's the bus driver that we're theorizing has been possessed by pure evil. And that right there is the police officer hanging upside down. That was the one that put Father Fred in the cell and said, hey, you should go check out Doc Sutton.
Yes, that's right.
So he's killed the sheriff's partner, and he's sitting there covered in blood. Hello, Father, I've been waiting for you. And that's how that issue ends. And God, that's giving me goosebumps right now. Big old goosebumps. I gotta read this again after we get done with this. This is the one of the series that I can't put down. Like if I forget about it, the second I pick it back up, I can't put it back down again.
Yeah, I blew through the 6 issues that were in that first volume really fast.
And then the 5th issue opens up with the bus driver attacking the sheriff and Father Fred with that sledgehammer. And then he throws it at the sheriff, and then he pulls out the scalpel out of his back pocket, and that's Norton's scalpel from Norton's apartment in the other timeline.
Yep.
So then he slits his wife's throat, and this is just. And then the doctor and Norton are sitting and having tea in his apartment, and they're connecting because she realizes what's happening, and this is.
Well, and then you get Michael back full circle to what you wanted to talk about, which is what happens at that barn.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the last issue, right? The last issue of the. Yeah, so they show up there, and then it's just psychedelic as hell, too, which I love. Like, you have to really try and parse what's happening on each page.
They lead up to that in issue 5 where Doc Sutton's talking about his son who went missing. And had a bad dream the night before he went missing. And that bad dream, his son quoted was, "I was lost in an old barn and couldn't get out."
And he also drew a barn too, which he showed, right?
Yep. That's hanging in Doc Sutton's little work area. And then he brings that up and shows that to his daughter and to Father Fred. But then that's leading up into, then you get into the really good head trippy art. The really good head trippy art in this issue where they start merging the timelines in people's minds. And then you get these panels.
It's so weird. Yeah.
It's so off, right? Because everything has just been so, like, all the colors have been very, like, I guess they're all kind of similar up until we get to that. And it's just like a complete mind trip.
Yeah. It's a very muddled merging of like 2 time frames or 2 universes. Like, as the doctor puts Norton into hypnosis and starts pushing him back further into his early childhood, you see him breaking down and then eventually kneeling and then his head opening with a door, like his thoughts are coming out, and then he's left there right in front of the door.
Yeah.
And as he sees it opening, the people in the other time frame that are battling the bus driver, Doc Sutton, and Father Fred, chasing the bus driver who's carrying the sheriff who's been shot, run into that barn. So the doors open on both sides.
Yes. Right. Yeah, that was sweet.
And this is leading into what Mike wanted to talk about in issue 6.
Yep.
Which is the mind fuck issue.
The whole mind trip about, that was just incredible.
Yeah, and I don't even know really what the hell happened, except for the fact that we come out of there with what's her name on a mission to find her brother. Yeah.
Sarah. And then he was able to bring like the teddy bear, right, to her hospital bed, that where she wakes up and she's like, "Oh, is that am I mistaken in saying that teddy bear is her brother's?"
Yeah, the priest is Father Fred forced to make a choice between two things, one being a teddy bear and another being a TV screen with a technological device on there, like information
that would give him all the answers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which I love the fact that he chose the bear, because that, it's not it's all about faith, right? If you know, then it's not faith anymore, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So that bear is kind of a symbolism of faith of a few things, right?
Yeah. What's important?
Yeah.
And then, she thinks she saw her brother, right? So she probably did, now that you guys have ruined it and made it so I know that Norton is her brother. But I can't believe I didn't put that together when I was reading.
Figured that out on your own, and I saw that look of aha on your face.
Well, I should have figured it out sooner. I'm just beating myself up over it. But yeah, it's quite obvious now. So thanks a lot. Should have skipped this episode. I should have known nothing good was going to happen when I showed up on Andy's channel.
That's my channel where people come to die.
Yeah.
Mike, did you have more to say about that tail end?
No, we covered it already. It was just a mind trip, and all I want to do right now is open up volume 2.
I was just going to say, I'm probably going to reread the first one too, if I'm being honest. And I just read it like 3 days ago. So
rereading the first 6 issues is definitely helpful, because every time I go back, I find more and more nuances hidden in the art that I wasn't anticipating. Like the picture between the two timelines, you pointed out the picture from when the doctor was looking at it versus when Father Fred was looking through the files. That picture of Norton there versus the picture in the other timeline. I didn't pick up on that until you mentioned that.
Yeah, I didn't catch that either. But as soon as you started talking about it, it's like you subconsciously kind of have this stuff stored,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's fucking great writing.
Love it.
That is great writing when it subconsciously is implanted into your brain, and then you don't make that connection until that writer wants you to make that connection, or until he's allowed you the time to make that connection.
Yeah.
Really, Simeon says, "I've only read Black Hammer, been saving Lemire for a rainy day." Do it, man.
Yeah, read this one. It's pretty sweet.
This is that rainy day where you should probably read this, and you're not going to want to stop reading this.
Well, what's a rainier day than COVID-19 and everybody's stuck in their damn houses for, months.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Which is why I am incredibly thankful for being a part of this, and you guys allowed me to be a part of this reading club, if you will, where you bounce around between your channel and Jackson's channel. We need more good, cool reads, good content, fun, good times, and terrible, bad dad jokes. Speaking of dad jokes, hey, Mike, what kind of dress does a house wear?
Got me.
My cat just spilled my soda. I'll be right back.
Okay.
It's live for you. Onto my device. I'll have.
Oh, yeah, I gotta love that. A house wears an address, Mike.
An address.
Look at him shake his head as he walks away.
Got him. Hey, real quick, just speaking of different reads, Gore Vidal says, did you read Alex? I can't read that. Alice Coates Zero from a few years back. He brought in William Burroughs, George Luis Borges, and a lot of other literary works into that bizarre book. I don't know what those
I
people
will
are, but
definitely add that to my list.
yeah. It says you'll check it out. There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
Stan Balls, what's up, buddy?
So this was. I don't want to know, what were your initial thoughts going into this before you read it?
I had nothing. Nobody told me anything about this book.
Really?
And the only thing that I had read about it was the back, just right here, where it gives a synopsis, and it just says, "The legend of the Black Barn tells of an unworldly building that has appeared and reappeared throughout history, bringing death and madness in its wake. Now its mysteries and snares and entwines the lives of two very different men. One, a young recluse obsessed with finding hidden clues within the city's trash. The other, a washed-up Catholic priest finding his place in a small town that hides dark secrets. Neither of them are prepared for what's inside the Black Barn." That's all I had going into this, and I thought to myself, like, I have no idea what to expect. That's pretty much what it came down to.
Yeah.
How about you?
When
you first started reading it, did you know much about the premise or what?
No, just basically people were telling me it's Jeff Lemire. You've got to read this. This is kind of like required reading if you're looking to really delve into different writers and artists that are doing independent stuff. And I'm glad they did this because these two, Lemire and Sorrento, I think it's pronounced Sorrento or Serenato, or I'm terrible with names. I think they were working on like stuff with like DC and Marvel, and Jeff Lemire had these characters in his head, and they were kind of teaming up via email back and forth.
Mhm.
Like, hey, I've got this idea, I got that idea, and over a period of time, they decided that they wanted to take this independent and do it. And Gideon Falls was fleshed out and finalized and put out, and this is outstanding. This is one of those team ups where if you tried to deliver this story with a different artist, I don't think it would be anywhere near as good.
Right? Yeah,
You know what I
100%
mean? And
agree.
if you tried to deliver this art with any different writer, I don't think it would be anywhere half as good.
And
It just
that's that magic pairing that you want out of a comic book, right? As opposed to a novel or just a TV show. You need to find a writer and an artist that mesh well together when it comes to the specific storyline that they're trying to tell.
Yeah, think Robert Kirkman and Aldred, and then with the first trade paperback of Walking Dead. When I read that, those first couple of trade paperbacks in Walking Dead, is that art and that story just meshed so well before Aldred. I don't remember if he left or if he cut back, but that was one really good pairing. There's so many other really good pairings. Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan come to mind right away with
Of course,
Saga.
right?
You know,
Yeah.
that art fits really well. The art of Paper Girls and the story of Paper Girls fits so well. It's amazing how they say, you know, what's that phrase they say, you eat with your eyes,
Okay.
something like that, where, you know, you're the food you're looking at is really, you're taking in your food via looking at it to some extent. It was just like comic books. If that art doesn't fit, or if it's not aesthetically pleasing to you or to the story, it's not going to hit home.
Well, yeah, it's 100% agree, man. It's an incredible it meshed really well. Incredible story, incredible artwork. Thank you for recommending it, and I'm going to continue on with volume 2 for next week right here.
I'm gonna keep rambling until Jackson comes back so we can get grades on this from you guys.
Oh yeah. Should we just do our grades and wait for him to get here?
Yeah, maybe he'll sit down here in a moment. That cat is kind of an asshole, so maybe he's got a bigger situation on his hands.
Yeah. No, I'm giving this an A. I love it. I think it's a great storyline. I love everything about it. There's literally nothing about it I don't like so far. So as of right now, volume 1 is A-okay in my book.
Yeah, I'm giving volume 1 an A+ through and through.
Yeah.
there's little bits and pieces and portions of it that you're reading, and you're not quite sure of how it fits in, but when you go back and read it a second or a third time, it really starts meshing, and you understand that every word, every portion, every panel fits to a degree for a reason, I should say.
Gore says that Greg Rucka and Michael Lark have that same synchronicity in Lazarus. I've never heard of that Lazarus before. Have you?
Neither have I.
No. So let me ask you this: since we are going to be reading Gideon Falls Book 2 next week, do you have any suggestions for anybody else? Just in general?
Oh man, yes, A Walk Through Hell is another book from after. That's a book from Aftershock that we're all going to have to read. We might not have to do a show about it or anything like that, but if you like Gideon Falls, A Walk Through Hell is very good as well.
Okay, sounds good. Hey,
sounds like I know what to pick next week.
Yeah, he's gonna pick. Hopefully, you pick volume 3 of Gideon Falls, because I feel like we're gonna whip through this. Jackson, we just went through our grades. I gave it an A. Comic Man Andy gave it an A+.
I would give it an A+.
Good call. Cool.
I'm loving it so far, even though apparently I don't understand what's happening. And I apologize for my goddamn cat. I was just talking about wanting to behead my cats today because one of them puked like 4 or 5 times today. She just decided to, and then he comes up here and knocks my soda over. I'm just, I've had it. I'm like, I'm the bus driver. I've just had it with everything.
Be Carol Baskin.
Right.
Is it because you started reading Gideon Falls?
Yes.
Your cats see the barn?
Apparently so. No, he was this guy has been a psycho since well before Gideon Falls right here. This little guy, he's a jerk. But
my favorite part is when I occasionally just pop into one of your streams and I see that tail just right there.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. I have to try and pretend he's not there, unless he gets too involved, and then I've got to do something, which is annoying. I could lock him up, but yeah, he's just the worst.
Never apologize for their imperial majesties.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm terrible at hitting up the chat, but I want to say thank you for everybody hanging out. We kept a solid 8, 9, 10 people occupied for a little bit and distracted, and that's the point, right? Let's come hang out, talk comic books. Let's pull you guys out of reality and get you to dive deep into a cool story or something. I really appreciate that. It's on my channel. I don't have a lot of subscribers, so maybe when we go to your guys' channels, we can pull a number of other people. But yeah, I'm actually really stoked to see some people hanging out with us tonight on my channel.
Awesome. Yeah, nobody showed up for our movie show, Andy, except for you.
I did, God damn it.
Probably because nobody's ever heard of Cube.
Right. Yeah, nobody's ever heard of Cube. Yeah, but Cube,
Cube
I don't have many subscribers either, Andy. So you people hanging out, go ahead, go over there, subscribe, because we'll be talking about comics on that channel too, and Michael's channel, Downright Nerdy Podcast. So we're all friends here.
What I really like about Bored and Annoyed is you don't pigeonhole yourself to just comics. I'm pigeonholed into just comics because that's my love. You go on about comics, you go on about movies, you basically go on about a lot of stuff that you're bored and annoyed about.
Yes. So or not.
Yeah. That's what I really love about your channel.
Earlier on, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, dude.
No, I was gonna say there are times like last season where you guys were going off on tangents in the beginning of the shows about football and the Lions and the Packers, and it was great. It would be like, all right, we got to get off this, but you've been on it for like 15 minutes. It was awesome.
Right. Yeah, I mean, football season. Hopefully, hey, crossing my fingers that
supposedly it's still happening. So,
well, Jackson, you keep wearing that hat and you'll never catch anything. So,
that's pretty good. I'm going to use that.
I'm from Michigan, so I can say that.
Yeah, it's my COVID-19 hat. Most people wear a face mask like Arnold or whatever his name is, Norton in the book, but I just wear this and nobody comes near me.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
Uh,
All right.
yeah.
So, I have chosen. We'll be back here next week for Gideon Falls Volume 2 here on Comic Man Andy's channel, immediately following our Downright Annoyed with movies over on Jack's
Mac and me.
Yeah, Mac and me, and I may have a funeral for my cat that morning. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna mail you a bent rusted nail, just
There
like
you go.
Yeah, Gideon Falls Volume 2, and a quick take your time around the horn. There ain't nothing quick about this. We take however much time we want. You guys go around the horn. What do you got? Where can people find you? What makes you awesome? Why should we sub up?
Oh, me? Okay. Downright Nerdy Podcast. You can follow us there on Instagram, on all our favorite podcasting apps. We have our newest episode 57, premiering tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking. I actually interviewed Chuck from Chuck Loaded Comics, and we're going to talking about everything about Mainframe Comic Con coming April 25th and 26th. It's a virtual Comic-Con, 100% free. All donations will benefit the Hero Initiative, amongst other charities. It's a really awesome event. Hopefully, the main goal will be fulfilled, and we'll be able to help out all these content creators who are having a tough time during this entire like the cancellation of all the cons and all that stuff. So make sure you guys check out mainframecomiccon.com.
My turn.
Sure.
I'm Jackson, boredandanoid.com. You can find everything there. Go to the little link as you scroll down. Find us on your favorite place to listen to podcasts, watch podcasts, whatever. You'll find us there. I know I hit it in the last show we just recorded, Michael, but I do have a suggestion for everyone to go watch The Platform on Netflix. If you're looking for a new movie to watch and you've got a strong stomach, maybe you're a Gideon Falls fan, would probably like The Platform. It's gross, but I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. So definitely go watch that. That's all.
I forgot to give a suggestion. Actually, I've suggested it before, but just read this Pestilence. It's a comic book on trade, Aftershock Comics. Essentially, think of Walking Dead during the medieval times, and the only people that can save humanity is a small sect of oh god, what are the names of those? The Knights Templar.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're like a little SWAT team of the Knights Templar, and they go off and try to save humanity from this the Walking Dead zombies. And
on that note, have you continued Kingdom at all, Michael, or no?
Oh, I'm at time. As soon as we get done, I'm going to continue it. I'm like 3 episodes in, but yeah.
Have you watched that, Andy?
No, I have not.
Oh God, dude, it's fucking awesome.
You know what? Yeah, forget what I just said. Go watch Kingdom.
No, it's kind of what your setup for it. Zombies in a different time period.
Yeah. This is zombies in medieval times, and right. Kingdom is zombies in like samurai times, right?
Yes, right. Yes,
yeah.
And it's that I'm excited. Maybe I'll read that. Oh, by the way, are we gonna do an episode on the heavy metal Christmas issue that I sent you the link for the other day, Michael? So, by the way,
I'm absolutely gonna buy that when it comes out.
But yeah, sorry, we're hijacking Andy's channel. He looks like just light up a Newport over there, Andy. Just sit and enjoy.
This is why I created this channel, was to interact and be a part of other people's lives and stories and the community, and read comic books and talk really cool stuff. So you ain't hijacking nothing, man. This is exactly what this channel's here for. I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, DMP, Jackson, Bored and Annoyed. I'm Comic Man Andy. You guys can find me here. You guys can tune into the Comic Core channel, sub them up, look for our Modern Men show on Monday nights. Thursday nights are now dubbed Andy Given Thursdays. So I'll be doing shows on Thursday nights there. Tuesday nights on Comic Core's Golden Guys. Wednesday nights are the greatest comic book show ever. And Friday nights are their hangout. Every week, Pinky's Out podcast, we're trying to get together on Sunday nights to do some sort of recording on either YouTube or Anchor FM. You should be able to find us there. But that's it. Yeah, that was an amazing read. That was an amazing time. And if anybody wants to be a hero, go check out heroinitiative.org and donate to become a hero, and support all those creators in need. And that's worth a stop of at least checking it out and sharing it and sharing that information. So heroinitiative.org. Guys, I can't thank you enough. What am I going to do? I'm just going to go back to the original and go peace out. Pinky's out. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side.